الله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا من خزائن علومك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the last couple of nights, we have been discussing the topic of the sound heart, the pure heart, the sick heart, ultimately on the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how if we do indeed have hearts that are diseased, we should reflect upon this to know if they are diseased in the first place, and if they are, to find out the cures by which we can purify them of blemishes, so we may reach Allah with, as He describes, al-qalb as-salim. And yesterday we outlined the program, the spiritual program that we're going to be taking this next week, inshallah. And it's built upon 3 stages. The first stage, ilm, knowledge. The second stage, Iman, faith. And the third stage that I mentioned that I will explain is Irfan. And that when we see the haqa'iq and the bawatin, when we see the realities and the truths and the secrets of the world around us. And so the first step, of course, as we mentioned yesterday, was knowledge. And yesterday we spoke about the importance of knowledge. And knowledge, we often find that we don't know where to start with. That if we are to go through the first stage and come upon knowledge, but what is it that we should know? And Imam Ali alayhi salam answers this. He says, may Allah have mercy upon the one who knows. Min ain, fi ain, wa ila ain. From where, and to where. Where they came from, where they are, and where they are going. If someone is able to acquire the knowledge of where they came from, where they are, and where they are going, that person reaches success. And this is the type of knowledge that we need to acquire in our lifetimes. And we often come to our imams to find out these secrets. Okay, how can I find out from where? How can I find out where? How do I find to where? And you come to the words of the imams and we say we want the secrets the same way the secret holders of the imam would be around him, the way he would take Kumail ibn Ziyad, for example, aside, and he would be the one who would hold his burdens, like Maytham al-Tammar, Kumail ibn Ziyad, or Malik al-Ashtar, all of his companions. And we want to be of those who also acquire the secrets of the imams, and the imam's secrets are there for us to read and to see. Yet, unfortunately, we read them, we see them, we hear them year after year. There may be nothing that I say tonight or on all these nights that you haven't heard before. Yet, we think, and then what? And then, okay, as if we don't truly understand the meaning of these words. It reminds me a lot of the angels when they were speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah Azza wa Jal created Adam and the angels were questioning him. They questioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will you create this creature who will shed blood on the earth? He says, I know what you don't know. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. And he told Adam all the names. And then he tells, وَأَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. He tells, inform them of the names. And Adam informs the angels of the names. And what do they say? They say, لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا. They didn't understand. Adam told them the names. They didn't understand the names. They didn't say, أَهْلًا وَسَهْلًا يَا Adam. They didn't say, now we are equals amongst Allah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, equals in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, we have no knowledge. We don't know. إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا. Except that which you have taught us. And many a times we are like these angels. We say we want the secrets. We want the secrets. And then we're told the secrets. We read the secrets. They're in lectures constantly, signs in front of us. Yet, لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا. And I'm saying this because there is a secret that Imam Ali alayhi salam gives to Kumail when he takes Kumail to the graveyard, and he tells him these profound words. And these words explain a lot of what we've been talking about. And there aren't many secrets deeper than this secret. Yet, oftentimes when we read this secret, or when we hear this secret, we think, what does this mean? And then what? He says, Ya Kumail, ma min harakatin illa wa anta muhtajun fiha ila al-ma'rifa. Ya Kumail, there is no action, there is no movement, there is nothing that you can do except that you are in need. Muhtajun fiha ila al-ma'rifa. You need ma'rifa for the action. You cannot make any movement unless you have knowledge beforehand. And I explained this previously when I was saying, if I knew right now that there was a lion behind me, I would run away out of fear. And even if there was a lion behind me and I didn't know, I wouldn't run because I had no knowledge of this. But when we hear the words of Imam Ali, we think, okay, what is so deep about this? As in, why is he telling Kumail and he describes it as the secret? You know, when Imam Ali and Kumail are talking to each other, it's not just small talk back and forth. There's a point to everything that he is telling him. There's a reason why he took him to the graveyard and he's telling him this alone. He says, there is Ya Kumail, and this needs contemplation. We truly need to sit, and when we see these words, tadabbur and tafakkur, to contemplate and meditate upon the words of the Imams, to understand what he really means. Because it's just like the angels. La ilma lana. It's as if we don't understand what they're saying. It's like the deaf person at the carnival. You see everyone dancing and screaming and colors and dresses. But if you're deaf, you don't know why this is all happening. But notice in the ayah, La ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. We don't have knowledge except that which you have taught us. So there is some knowledge. There is knowledge for us to understand the secrets if we are to be taught that knowledge. So the question arises, how can I be a receiver of this knowledge? Because these ahadith, they are understood by its people. The people of these texts, of the sacred scriptures, they understand these words of the Imams. They understand it in different ways. You can't just take a hadith and think the way you understood it is the way that he meant it. It needs days, weeks, months, years of contemplation. Every year upon every year, the more your knowledge increases, the more you will see truths in the words of the Ahlul Bayt. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So the Quran, even the Quran says, فَاعْلَمُوا أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Before Tawheed, فَاعْلَمُوا, know. Before Tawheed, know. Before La ilaha illallah, فَاعْلَمُوا. Quranically, this is correct. Philosophically, by the way, this is also correct. That you cannot perform any action except that you have what they call tasawwur, the image of the action completely in your mind. And this it's a process of milliseconds. But everything we do, me moving my hands right now in front of you, the words I'm saying, I have complete tasawwur, I have complete imagery of these actions in my mind before I do them. Knowledge before the action. And knowledge is that first step. So we need to increase our capacity to receive the knowledge. If we're saying, إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا, we have knowledge, we don't have knowledge except that which you teach us, then we must increase our capacity to learn, to be taught. That's how we achieve knowledge. So how do we achieve knowledge? We are in need of knowledge. It's the absolute first step. House student, not a house student, university student, not a university student, labor worker or not, mother at home or not, whatever it is, if you are following the path of the Ahlul Bayt and you want to take the spiritual journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first step is we are to know that we are in dire need of knowledge and to be someone who is trying to achieve and acquire that knowledge. And I can't stress this enough. You might get bored of how much I'm going to mention this in the coming days. But that's how important it is. Without this, one question between you and yourselves. How many books have you read in the last month? How many books have I read in the last year? Forget any book. Nahjul Balagha. The book right now, Imam Ali and the secrets, and we want to know and build our life upon the Ahlul Bayt, yet between me and Allah, when was the last time I went to Nahj al-Balagha and tried to extract those secrets and contemplate upon them? Or Sahifa Sajjadiyya? When was the last time, and how often do I do that? Because without that, brothers and sisters, without that, there is no journey. That is the bunyan. That's right at the beginning. That's right at the beginning. Sometimes we count to 10 before we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to go straight to 10. Knowledge. ما من حركة يا كميل ما من حركة إلا وأنت محتاج فيها إلى المعرفة. It's the first step. And of course, you can learn Islam, of course, outside of the Arabic language, but if you really want to delve into the Islamic tradition and the texts, you need Arabic. You need Arabic. The Quran is in Arabic. When it's translated, it's a completely different experience. And someone who can read both languages will always testify to this truth. That Arabic, to know the words of the Imams, the way that they spoke, the intricacies that we don't notice often in the Quran when we're reading it, when we don't have the knowledge of the language. It's right at the beginning as well, the language. Something that we should all go towards. Like small intricacies, like in the Quran, these rhetorical techniques that are used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like iltifat, where He jumps from speaking in the first person to speaking in the third person, or vice versa. You know, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. We're speaking about Allah, and then suddenly, Iyyaka na'budu. We worship you. Suddenly, we're just speaking about God in a different tense right there. And then suddenly now we're speaking to God directly. This is iltifat. Small intricacies like this that are really hard to comprehend outside of the Arabic language. So when you read the Quran in a different language than Arabic, you experience it differently than it was intended to be experienced. So knowledge, just those small things. So my teacher recommends, and I know this is going to sound, I know what I'm saying here, but it's going to sound hefty, and everyone has full-time jobs and they have families and children, but he recommends at least daily, 3 hours a day of trying to seek knowledge. Every day, 3 hours. 3 hours for everyone. For everyone. I remember when in Hausa, my sheikh, we had to sign a contract with him to stay, and minimum was 11 hours a day. And that's a Hausa student. He says, you're living off the money of Imam Mahdi, so this is the contract between you and Imam Mahdi. 11 hours a day, that's minimum. He said it should be 15. Because what do? You're just a Hausa student. And truly, that's how they are. But 11 hours is the minimum. And I remember sometimes if I got 9, and I tell him, Sheikh, I only got 9. He says, well, you have to redo it on your way home in the car, or memorize Quran for an hour or something. I owe him 2 hours. Okay. But for all of us, 3 hours. 3 hours. And I know that seems like a lot. If you can't do 3 hours, 2 hours. If you can't do 2 hours, 1 hour. Just start. But see, if you want to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like a rocket, 3 hours. If you want to go like a turtle and in a million years, 10 minutes. But alhamdulillah, a million years is better than never getting there. As long as we're trying. May Allah increase your lives to live a million years. Sallallahu alaihi wa Muhammad. And if you want, just if you apply a small program, even if you were to read just 40 pages of a book a day, just 40 pages a day, if you want, start there. In 10 days, that's 400 pages. Okay? That's a hefty book in 10 days. In a month, you'd read 3 hefty books if you were just to read 40 a day. If you can't do 40, do 20. 20 a day. So you went from 3 hours to 2 hours to 1 hour to 40 pages to 20 pages. But begin. فَاعْلَمُوا يَا كُمَيْلِ مَا مِنْ حَرَكَةٍ إِلَّا وَأَنْتَ مُحْتَاجٌ فِيهَا إِلَى الْمَعْرِفَةِ. To contemplate upon this hadith. Contemplation counts in those 3 hours. Tafakkur, tadabbur, meditation counts in those 3 hours. But that's where the journey begins. But, and this is a significant but, ilm, knowledge is not enough. Obviously, it's not enough. Knowledge has khalal, has naqs. There is something lacking in knowledge. Because knowledge does not lead to belief. One may have so much knowledge, but no belief, no adab, but they have knowledge. One may act counter to the knowledge that they have. Who is more knowledgeable than shaitan? Right? And he speaks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbi bima aghwaytani. But he says, Rabbi. He says, he admits in the divinity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He admits that Allah nourishes him, Rabbi. But he is too stubborn to admit his wrong. That he goes against his own knowledge. Shaitan is alim. But ilm is lacking. Ilm is not enough. You find a university professor who will be teaching his students all about the negative sides of tobacco and the cigarette and what it can do to your lungs, and he would teach it perfectly and they will understand it perfectly, and then the bell hits and it's break time and he will just light up his cigarette. Is there a problem with the way he taught it? No. Is there a problem with how they understood him? No. Would they not understand because he's smoking? No. His smoking is different than him teaching it and them understanding it. But this is the state of Bani Adam. Once I heard a lecture and the speaker was saying his child was in a supermarket. The first time his child saw a person smoking, he said he put a stick in his mouth and he lit it on fire, and the person looks at the child and he says, don't ever do this. Right? And the child was so confused. As in, why would you do something that you know is bad, then you're telling me not to do it? And that's the state of Bani Adam. You know, animals, when they see a fire, they don't go there. When animals know something's bad for you, they run away. Bani Adam just goes to where we know it is dangerous for us. And this is the state of Bani Adam. It's an amazing state. This is how we are. Amazing creatures. Wondrous. We go against our own knowledge. So what does one need then? If our knowledge is lacking, what does knowledge need to fill in those gaps? It needs the second stage, Iman. And Iman is when knowledge settles into the heart. Al-ilm yastaqir fi al-qalb. This is why we were talking about the sound heart, the sick heart, because what heart would allow the knowledge to settle in? The knowledge has to become part of you. It enters your being, it enters your heart. And the way in which to do that, there is a bridge. The bridge between knowledge and Iman is amal salih, is good action. And they say Iman is on the shore of Eman. As in, when you have Iman, you are in safety. And the way to get to Iman is through good action. It is to perform the good deeds. That's simple. So, you start with knowledge. Knowledge, then I perform my actions and my good deeds based on the knowledge, and slowly the knowledge begins to settle into my heart and it creates Iman. So as I mentioned previously, when the stingy person doesn't like to give away money, but they're learning about the merits of being kareem, of being generous, then they want to apply the action. And they begin to force themselves to give £1 a day. And after a month, they've given £30. This person, through repetition and good action and amal salih, they create Iman. No longer is he a stingy person. They become a generous person. They say, al-majaz qantaratul haqiqa. When you pretend long enough, it becomes true. So even when you're not feeling that good action, your willpower has to move you into performing it, so that you may achieve Iman. But there's also a problem with Iman. Iman is a high station. But there is a problem with Iman. If you were to ask the mu'min, why do you pray Fajr 2 rak'ahs? He will tell you, I don't know. I know my Prophet prayed this way. I know he told me to pray this way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to pray this way. So I pray this way. And that's amazing. That's great. But there's one slight problem there. When you ask the believer, why do you pay khums? Why don't you pray sudus or saba' or any other? He says, well, I was taught to pay khums. Our Prophet told me to pay khums, and that's why I pay khums. And that's great. We love Iman. But Iman is not enough, because the problem with the mu'min is the mu'min can be blind. The mu'min doesn't know all the time why they are following in their Iman. And the problem that occurs is that when Iman comes across a power that is stronger than it. So let's just, for example's sake, say that Iman is on level 50, but then you come across shahwa, desire, on level 60. Iman is not going to be strong enough to fight against the desire. See, here you have knowledge. And here you know you've performed good actions. You know this is bad for you. You don't want to do it, but you're too inclined. Especially if you've repeated the action again and again. Especially if it becomes normal to you. So then it becomes very difficult to resist such a desire. What about the mu'min who is often angry? He has so much ghadab. He has weak Iman. He's a mu'min, but he has weak Iman. And Iman, when it comes across these beasts, these monsters that we have around us in this world, doesn't always win. Inshallah, we can be mu'mineen, but we need even more. To be safe, for us to truly reach salvation, we need more. Iman is not enough. We have knowledge, we performed good deeds, we were able to have Iman in our hearts, but there are still some diseases, there are still some sicknesses. Sometimes we still give up. So we need Irfan. And what I mean here by Irfan is when you believe and you see what you believe. There's a difference. Now you have Aynul Yaqeen. You have 100% conviction because you see the realities. It's when you have belief and you have knowledge, and your belief and knowledge mutabiq lil waqi'. It's in accordance with reality. What you believe here is the same here. When you see the realities, then you see the bawatin, you see the asrar, you see the secrets, then you begin to understand things differently. You see things for what they really are. And this is possible. I know this sounds like to do this you'd have to go to some mountain somewhere and live as a sage, but it doesn't need that. It's possible. It's possible to achieve this Irfan. And this is, the prophets needed this as well. This is what we mean by isma too. When you look at the ma'sumin, you know, sometimes, how could the infallibles not sin? I mean, they would see the realities of the sin. That's why they wouldn't sin. You see the realities of it. Because when you see the realities, not only, for example, let's say alcohol, not only wouldn't you abstain from alcohol because you find no pleasure in it, but you also find no benefit, not in the present or in the future. So there's literally no reason for you to go and perform that sin. If there is no pleasure and no benefit, not now, not later, you're not attracted to it whatsoever. When I mention the word khanzir or pig, right, straight away you feel right? It's not even something that we have to battle in our communities. Khanzir, pig, it's easy. We are ma'sumin from khanzir. We are. Like, we're raised in a way where it doesn't even cross our minds to eat pork. Like, maybe music is difficult for us. There are many sins out there that are so normalized that we have such a hard time. But when I say pig, it's so easy. Well, why don't you see pig the same as you see music? What's the difference? See, here you're able to hold yourself back because you understand it. You may not understand this so much. What I'm trying to show you, though, is it's possible. It's possible. And even the prophets needed this. See, Iman was not enough. Even for Nabi Yusuf, alayhi salam, when Nabi Yusuf was with Zulaykha, when he was in her house, وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. Right, he was in her house. وَغَلَّقَتْ الْأَبْوَابِ. She closed the doors. وَقَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ. She told him, come here. What did he say? She's trying to seduce him. says, قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَاهِ. He said, I seek refuge in Allah. He is my Lord and He has honored me. Here, Nabi Yusuf is speaking Iman. Why? Because there's still seduction. This is just Iman, but it's not enough. Why? وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ. Right? She still wanted him and was going to seduce him. وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا. And he would have fell for her لَوْلَا أَنْ رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. He would have fell for her if he had not seen the burhan of his Lord. The burhan of his Lord, the proof of his Lord. That's Irfan. His Iman wasn't enough. He said, Ma'ad Allah. He said, Innahu Rabbi. He's my Lord. I don't want to do this. Ahsana mathwai. He's been so good to me. He's honored me. But وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ. She still wanted him. She didn't care. And if he did not have Irfan, if he could not see the truths of what was happening, لَوْلَا أَنْ رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ, he would have wanted her too. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him because he was able to see. He had Ilm, Iman and Irfan. So how do I jump from Iman to Irfan? We said Ilm, we jump to Iman. The way we jump to Iman is good action. Iman, we jump to Irfan. How do you jump from Iman to Irfan? Tahdhib an-nafs. As simple as that. Disciplining the self. One must truly engage in serious discipline of oneself. That if you wake up in the morning and you swear an oath to yourself that today I will overcome myself. Today is the day I overcome myself. That when there is something yourself wants to do that you know is bad for you and you don't do it. That when you start to cleanse your heart. Because if this heart is not cleansed, it will not welcome Irfan. It's not a house that will welcome Irfan. If there are dogs in the house, if there's the dog of stinginess, if there's a dog of desire, if there is the dog of anger, all these dogs, the angels will not enter the house. We must cleanse the house of all the dogs. Then the house will be ready to welcome Irfan. That's how Irfan settles into the heart. So one needs diligent practice. Real, diligent practice of tahdhib an-nafs. Inshallah, in the coming nights, we'll be speaking more about these three stages. More about ilm, and then iman, and then irfan. And what our scholars have said about these three stages on this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But mainly what we mentioned today, what we need to apply from now, the first step. Ilm. Let's take the first step. Step number one. Let us begin. Let us know. Ya Kumail. Contemplate now, tonight, inshallah. Until tomorrow, contemplate as much as you can on the hadith of the Imam. He takes Kumail, says, Ya Kumail, ma min harakatin illa wa anta muhtajun fiha ila al-ma'rifah. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.